Hi, I'm Professor Lucien, and in this video, I'm going to continue my tour of the OSHA website, just kind of pointing out some things that maybe you didn't know were there, or at least point out where they are now. In the last video, I gave you an overall or broad look at the OSHA website, mostly just the homepage. Now what I'd like to do is go into at least two of the tabs, and I'm going to save the other two for two other videos. The first one is the OSHA tab. When you click on it, you can read about OSHA. For my students in Intro to Occupational Safety and Health, you may want to go there because some of the quiz questions probably come from there. If you need to find an OSHA office, you can click here, and actually my students have to do that as well. Sure, let's take a look at that. When you click on it, it should give us a map of the United States. It's got the regional offices, in which there are 10 regions over on the right. You can look up the consultation offices, which ones are state plans. More stuff here as well, and the Osha Directory. I'm in Wisconsin, and so I'd click there and I'd see that there are actually 4 area offices. One in Madison, one in Milwaukee, one in Appleton, one in Eau Claire. So for my students, and then the Wisconsin's right there. That's to help them out. That was actually on a homework, and about a third of them got it wrong. They couldn't find it, but now they'll be able to find it. I'm just going back. Also under the OSHA tab, this is more contact in general. If you want to learn more about the state plans, you can. I think there are 26. The newsroom is here. If you sign up for the Quick Takes newsletter or any of the weekly information through the Department of Labor, you'd get that anyway. If you want to see what sort of careers are available through OSHA, you can click there. And I do believe there's going to be an increase. I believe last year OSHA's employment was at an all-time low, like a 30-year low or something. So I think they are going to be hiring very soon. And then the Freedom of Information Act. So that's just very general stuff about OSHA. What I want to go now is to the topics. This is probably more important to employers, but to my students it's also important. So for employer help. And then, so if you're watching this and you're not in my class, but you happened upon my video, this is going to be the important stuff you want to see. So this is help for employers. And I was spending some time looking here. Of course, there's a lot of information about COVID. And I'd shown that in the last one as well. It shows whether you're covered by OSHA. Basically, if you have an employee, you are. There are very few exceptions, but you can look there. What are my responsibilities? They're all listed here. I think we'll look at the general duty clause at the end of this video. How do I comply with rules? You can look things up. You could use the, here's a link to the poster, of which I had talked about that in the Department of Labor website. How do I comply with record keeping, which is important because as of February 1st, your 300 A's should be posted. And for those of you who also have to upload electronic copies, I believe that's due March 4th. But I'll be covering that in another video too. How can I go beyond compliance, improve my bottom line? OSHA's got some really good new documents. The Making a Business Case for Safety and Health page has some good information. The estimation for the cost of injuries is a bit high because they used only indemnified work comp claims from NCCI for like over a 2 or 3 year period, and they are very high. I've compared them to my state numbers, and they're about 6 to 10 times more, and that's with the indirect costs included in, than you'd find in your probably your local or your state department that enforces or manages your state work comp program. So just be careful. They don't identify outliers and a lot for them, so their averages are very, very high, very high. So I wouldn't use that because I like to be conservative in my estimates. If you do need help, you can look for your state OSHA consultation program and ask them to come in and do an audit for you. You can also look for a consultant to do a mock OSHA audit. I do OSHA audits for customers at a discounted rate because then I let my students learn from it. Some colleges near you may have students that need experience doing audits, and you could bring them in. There's information about cooperative programs. What happens if OSHA inspects my workplace, and I believe there are some interesting links that you could check out here. There is a small business resource for employers. Use that as you need, and then there's these more updated ones as well. There's information on the type of training. If you're watching this and you don't know how to practice safety and health, In order to understand what goes into a safety program, you have to go and do evaluations of your workplace, trying to identify what could cause your workers harm. And then you attempt to mitigate those exposures. Any exposure that cannot be fully mitigated, if exposure still exists, that becomes part of the safety program. And through continual auditing, and so the visual is the easiest, but then you should move it up a little and do like a job hazard analysis or a process safety analysis, interviews, ergonomic analyses, industrial hygiene assessments, depending on what you have. And I think what I'm trying to allude to is it's probably worth your time and investment to bring in someone who knows how to practice versus trying to figure it all by yourself. What I do for a lot of my clients is mock OSHA audit. I create the citation and notification of penalty. I created one based on what OSHA has, and it helps prioritize what they should be working on. And then I write a report in which I identify what the issues are, pictures and where they're located, and things they could do to correct it. And then they can work on it over time. And I could see them in another year, another 2 years, whatever it takes. I'm not trying to sell myself. I'm just saying, for instance, the rights that workers have. So there is a booklet for that. I'm not going to click on it because there's a lot of booklets you could download. As long as you have the poster, I think you should be all right. Now they have documents in multiple languages. There's also an OSHA diverse workforce coordinator. You can learn about the cooperative programs, but that tends to be with labor unions and other big nonprofits. If you're in a state-approved or an OSHA-approved state program, you should look to their resources. This is federal. State programs are required to be as stringent or more stringent than federal, but you should look because states can develop their own safety and health regulations. Here's the publications page. Here's the videos page. So if we click here, we'll see a lot. So it starts out with the COVID, and I think this is actually going to rearrange itself once it all downloads. So you can go through here and find a lot of things. It's pretty much specifically for COVID there, but you can see there's all publication, ebooks, popular downloads. So spend some time there, especially if you have the time and you're interested. The videos. I think OSHA also has a YouTube channel that you could go to. So they've got videos for the pandemic, for protecting workers from COVID, for cleaning, what to train workers on, something on carbon monoxide, filing an OSHA complaint. Looks like a couple case studies, computer generated, falls, silica, respiratory protection. So there's some interesting videos here, for sure, if that's something you need. What I want to do is end this with taking a look at the general duty clause. I know that under the responsibilities of the employer and the general duty clause should be located. I really thought it was going to be right here. Oh, you should know that workers are protected if you were to discriminate against them. That's another issue. And also there were some that I found before. There's the poster. I'll cover the general duty clause in the next video for sure. But if you're an employer, I would spend some time looking through here to find out what is required by you, what resources are available to you, and make sure you follow what I had indicated about you have to assess the workplace multiple ways. You have to document everything you do and everything you find. Come up with a plan to try to mitigate what the exposure may be. You can look to the OSHA standards, which is what I'm going to do in the next video, to find out what is required basically in the letter of the law in the Code of Federal Register. And then maybe you have to talk to a vendor or talk to a consultant to make sure it's exactly what you need and it works within whatever your price point is at. So please join me for the next video too.